packs a punch. It's Reese on the radio. And don't say we didn't warn you.
All right, ladies, buckle up. It's showtime.
Hey, what's going on, all you scallywags out there? You know what time it is. It's time for the Reese on the Radio Rundown on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC. It's a pleasure to be here, a pleasure to have you listening to the program. Remember, you can always go to reasonatheradio.com to find this program and, of course, more content you can shake a stick at. We've got all the news and all the views. Just go to reasonatheradio.com, download the Odyssey app. You can get all the Reese on the Radio that you could possibly stand. We had a great broadcasting week and look forward to another one as we get ready for the work week. I haven't talked about this particular gentleman, probably because he's really, to me, I don't think he's of any consequence. He's never really played any big role. And sometimes I think that the attacks on him are needless. And that's Doug Emhoff. And that's the husband of Kamala Harris, of course. And he, you know, I look at him and he's kind of doughy to me. I look at him and I look at him and I think, you know, substitute math teacher. Okay, maybe science teacher. But I've never really talked about him because I don't think there's much to discuss. And he made himself remotely interesting with this scandal from the UK Daily Mail. And you would think that the scandal with him getting his daughter's babysitter or au pair pregnant would have been enough. But to me, look, I'm sorry, probably because of where we are in our society, men having affairs in their first marriage, it's usually why they get divorced in the first marriage or second marriage, whatever the marriage may be. That's a happenstance, if you will. And I didn't make a big deal out of it. And there wasn't much, as you can see, many people didn't talk about it. Like it was a headline for maybe a day or two, but it moved on. But the new one, the scandal at the Cannes Film Festival in 2012, where he slapped his girlfriend out in public because he believed that she flirted with a valet, has so many things that no one is talking about. Hear me out. Hear me out. What I find interesting is that he was at the Cannes Film Festival. Obviously, he could afford to go. He's there with this woman who's an accomplished woman, we find out. We don't know her name, but we know she's accomplished. And they're getting, you know, a valet, you know, a cab or whatever the case is, but they're valet. And they're in France, whatever. And because she flirts with someone, he grabs her by her shoulder, spins her around, and then slaps her so hard, she spins. And everyone's like, oh my goodness, this guy's a champion of women. I'm like, yeah, champion of women. What is everybody fussing about? All of these guys who are so-called champions of women, especially when women start, you know, bigging them up to be champions of women, once they start lifting them high in the sky like Simba from the Lion King films, we always learn that these guys are abusive jerks. We always do. But see, Doug Emhoff slapped this woman in public because he thought she was flirting with a valet. Think about that, folks. Are you getting what I'm saying here? Doug Emhoff is in Paris at the Cannes Film Festival with an accomplished woman, and her flirting with the guy who gets your car. He's nowhere near the status of Doug Emhoff. Clearly, right? What's the insecurity about? Was he better looking? Probably. He's probably a young stud. Probably looked great in that red vest with the white shirt. I've seen those guys. Those guys, they're lookers. They're out there. They're meeting some hot tamale. Maybe they'll slip their number to some beautiful widow. You know how it goes. Come on, we've seen the TV shows and the movies. Doug Emhoff, whoever that valet was, Doug Emhoff was intimidated, and that says a lot about him. Think about it. Doug Emhoff is a guy who's always, he doesn't really have the confidence. He's the Eric Benet. For those of you who don't know who Eric Benet is, he was the guy who used to be married to Halle Berry, and he was there when Halle Berry received her Oscar award, and Halle Berry became the biggest name ever, and then they ended up getting divorced because he couldn't handle the success of Halle Berry. He's one of those guys who cannot deal with the woman exceeding him, right? Not in popularity, but in status. And this woman, her being attractive, for her to flirt with that, with that valet to Doug Emhoff was like, he felt slighted. Imagine what his relationship is like with Kamala Harris. She is the most important woman in the world. But listen to some of the interviews where he's talking about, if you can't lift up a woman.
Supporting a woman and lifting up a woman, it's the right thing to do.
He's laying it on thick. We need to, raise our women. We need to lift them up, and if you're not a man unless you lift up your woman. Yeah. This guy's got issues. Think about it. What did he do to his first wife or his second wife, which wife it was? What did he do to her? He was married. He had children. What's he doing messing with the au pair, the babysitter? How is that lifting up women? How is that supporting your spouse? This guy doesn't have it in him to uplift women. That's not who he is. Not so much that he betrays women. Oh, no. Doug Emhoff, he despises them. Oh, yes, he does. He plays the role, as long as it gives him a little bit of credibility, but he's got problems with women. He doesn't. There are some guys out there. You've met them. They can't stand for their women to get some status or to get a look. They immediately start to recognize how they failed or they come up short. Doug Emhoff is that guy. He needs to empower himself. That's how he got with the au pair. Made him feel good. Made him feel important, powerful. Kamala Harris, I don't know what goes on. My wife said to me, she goes, you don't think he actually hits Kamala, do you? I went, nah, I don't think so. Come on, that would be crazy. Right? Wouldn't that be crazy? I'm just saying. I don't think so. I'm not going to start that rumor. I'm not even going to go there. But this guy, Doug Emhoff, man, you've got to pay attention to this. This guy, we know. You guys know guys like this. Some of you might even be guys like this. Not comfortable with women being some empowerment of a woman intimidates men. I think Doug Emhoff is that guy. I really do. That's just my opinion. I don't know. I could be wrong. Anyway, we got more news. We got more views to talk about on this edition of the Reese on the Radio Rundown. We'll be back right after this message. You stay right there. It's Reese on the Radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
You better work.
Catch Reese on the Radio. Reese on the Radio. Only on WTIC. News Talk 1080.
All right, we're back. Reese on the Radio, News Talk 1080 WTIC. Don't forget to go to reeseontheradio.com. Are you a good employee? I only ask myself this because I'm dealing with one, and he's not a very good employee. He just isn't. I couldn't tell you what the issue is with him other than I think he's never been put in a position where he had to perform to a level that I may be making for him, like I'm setting a bar for him. Another part of me just thinks that he's a little bit lazy. He thinks the job is a layabout job, get paid to just lay about. Some people think that jobs can be inconveniences. And there are certain breed of people who are like that. It doesn't matter where they're from, socioeconomic, it doesn't matter. It is something innate in a group of people who don't really look at employment as something that you use or utilize to better yourself or your life. I think that they just see it as an inconvenience. And I thought about this today because, I walk in and the place that I leave in charge for him, it's a mess, right? Things are not working. In one case, he left a truck running overnight. Yeah, left the truck running overnight. I walked in early in the morning and the truck was still on. He left at 3 p.m. and the truck was on until I walk in at 6:30. Yeah, a.m. Anyway, before I go down that rabbit hole, I couldn't help but be angry. For me, it was fireable. But I'm trying to be patient. And the first thing I did, which is weird because I would have never been in this place before, I would have read him the Riot Act. Any one of my subordinates when I worked at a job, I would have read them the Riot Act. And rightly so, I would have, because it would have fallen on me from my bosses for not making sure that the person was held accountable. But I patiently I was relaxed. I sent a text to the employee. And it was the first thing I thought of? I thought of how many times in my life have I been a horrible employee? I could tell you stories. In fact, I'll tell you a few. I have been a really, really bad employee. Now, as you all know, I run a U-Haul, so I've worked for U-Haul corporate for about 5.5 years. And I did not, in the beginning, I would say I had a stellar record. In fact, it was so stellar, within a year, they wanted to promote me. Right, and I had to literally tell them, nope, don't want the promotion. They harangued me over and over again for 2 years to take a promotion. Finally, I did, and it was good. I got a great pay. I went from part-time to full-time, got great benefits, and U-Haul is a fantastic company for that. But I remember when I got transferred to another part of the company. And it was a job I didn't want, but I took as a favor from my boss because no one else wanted the position. And I should have taken that as a clue to why I shouldn't take the job. But I didn't really have a choice, but I took it. I hated that job. And I was the worst at that job. Let me give you an example of how awful I was. One time a customer called because they could not get a truck at the location they wanted to pick up from. You've been there if you've ever rented from U-Haul. You want to pick up at a place that's close to your home, but they send you someplace that's a little further. Sometimes it's considerably further. And this gentleman, it was not there. He didn't answer the text message or the phone calls we had made to him to tell him that the truck wasn't at that location, so he arrived anyway. But he calls me up on the phone, and it's my job to remedy the situation or at least make him feel whole. And in the midst of our conversation, he says to me, "Can't you guys get the truck and bring it to me?" And my response to him was awful. I said to him, "Sir, we don't bring the truck to you. You go to the truck. That's why it's called U-Haul, not We Haul." Now, I totally should, I'll be honest with you, if any one of my supervisors, if my boss had heard me say that, I wouldn't have blamed him for firing me. If not suspending me, I wouldn't have blamed him. But no one ever heard about it. In fact, the people who were in the office howling, laughing. It was the funniest thing ever. I pat myself on the back to this day for saying it to that guy. But it was horrible. It was the dumbest thing I could have said to a customer and wanted to keep my job. It was just bad. But I get it. I immediately looked at myself. Instead of, Some people do not take the job that seriously because, again, they're working for someone else, right? It's some other stiff. And if I'd have made better choices in my life, I wouldn't have chosen this for myself kind of attitude. I get it. And that's the reason why I didn't just say you're done. Because I'm trying to get him. I'm trying to take this and get him to learn a lesson. I'm hoping that he doesn't resent it, that I gave him hell. I am docking his pay. And I know that's probably going to be something he has to deal with. But I have to have a conversation with him that's not just scolding, but encouraging at the same time. Like, I've got to convince him that not only what he did was wrong, but that he can learn from it and he can get better. And you've got to know how to give that speech. Otherwise, that person is going to come in and they're going to be resentful every day at those dollars that they lost or the fact that you had to scold them. Like, it's such a balancing act that you have to sort of go through. So what I'm saying is if you are a bad employee, you've really got to ask yourself why. And if you're a boss who has a bad employee, you've got to find out why you have a bad employee. Like, if they're making mistakes, if they have a I don't care attitude about the job, it might be because we're not encouraging them to want to do their job and to do it well, or to explain to them the benefits of a job well done. So I've got to find a way to make this better for him, or at least better for me. Because the only way I can make life better for me is if I make life better for him. And I don't mean, soft soap him on the job. Like, I don't have to make things comfortable for him. But I do have to encourage him. I do have to let him know that what he's doing, although it isn't rocket science, although it isn't curing cancer, it is a job that he can take pride in. And I think all of us can do that, no matter what the job we have. So if I'm saying anything, try to be, if you can, a good employee. And if you don't like your job, quit. And do something that you love, that you know that you're good at. Don't just quit because you don't like your job, but find a way to make it a job that you love or that you can enjoy. Don't drag your rear end into work every day. It will just be a miserable existence, and no one needs that. We can all have a better day. It is up to us. Like, the day has no control over us. We can have better days on the job, doing something that may be mundane, sometimes repetitious or silly. But there are ways to do that and enjoy it and have a fulfilling life even at work. I'm trying to do that, and I have to now on Monday explain that to him. I have to walk that fine line. It's a tough way to go. Anyway, we'll be back. I've got more news, more views. We'll talk about Trump going back to Butler when we return. It's Reese on the radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC. Hey, what's up, guys? Reese on the radio here. I hope you are having a wonderful weekend. Me, not so much. You know why? Because I'm not there spending it with you. But you can on Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern, right here on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC. We've got the opening monologue, the stupidest thing I've read today, the 5 o'clock focus, and of course your phone calls at 860-522-WTIC. It's the show that kids call funky, fly, dope, and fresh. It's Reese on the radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
Stay locked in. Reese on the radio is on WTIC News Talk 1080.
All right, we're back. It's Reese on the radio, News Talk 1080 WTIC. Did you get a chance to watch the speech at Butler? I got to see a lot of it, and I'm glad I didn't miss one of the most important parts of the speech, and that was when Donald Trump brought up Elon Musk. And there's a thing that I can say about Elon Musk that I've been wanting to say for a long time. I was really, really hesitant. And people who watched my podcast knew that I was always on the fence about Elon Musk. I wouldn't tell anybody what I thought of him. I just waited because there were so many people talking about him in a glowing way. And I never follow the trends. When people start telling me this guy's great, this guy's fantastic, I think he's going to be this and that, and I always go, I got to see it for myself. I got to watch him. And it didn't take him to be a Donald Trump fan in order for him to get my good graces. Not that he needs them, but it didn't take him supporting Donald Trump. There was something interesting that he did that blew my mind, and it was an interview that he had with somebody from, I think, CNBC or some other company. I think it was CNBC. And the reporter from CNBC was talking to him about what he thought of people who criticized him for speaking out on certain things and if it would affect his business. Did it bother him that if he said something out loud or tweeted it or something that his business partners or people who had done business with him would recoil or maybe not do business with him?
You know that there's a public perception that, and you're clarifying this now, but there's a public perception that that was part of a apology tour, if you will. That this had been said online. There was all of the criticism. There was advertisers leaving. We talked to Bob Iger today.
I hope they stop.
You hope?
Don't advertise.
You don't want them to advertise?
No.
What do you mean?
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go f*** yourself.
But
go f*** yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is.
And his response to that was, you're not going to control what I say or what I think. And at that moment, I said, I think I like this guy because, look, he's got enough money to sort of, he's got blank you money. So he can say what he wants. And not all of us do. Some of us, we are at that position where, we kind of have to, I am not. And I don't have blank you money. But I'll tell you, 10 times out of 10, no one will ever control what I say or think. But he is in a position where he can tell people, you don't like it, screw you. And I thought that was, for me, that was courageous, but it was telling because the interviewer, the reporter, could not believe it. He had this sense of thinking that Elon Musk must be restrained. Dare he lose everything or lose support or people not investing in him? He didn't care. And again, it was mind-boggling to the reporter. It made me really appreciate Elon Musk. But back to the speech in Butler yesterday. When Elon Musk walks up on the stage, and if you haven't seen the video, please go watch it. Elon Musk gets out there, and he is like a kid on parade. He is jumping up and down. He is excited. He is having the thrill of his life. And I thought that was so encouraging to people who like him because I'm not going to lie. That excitement is real, and it's real with conservatives. We've never had something like this. I don't believe even the Reagan Revolution had this kind of enthusiasm. And when I mean the enthusiasm, it's not from the rank and file Trump supporters. It's from people who are coming on board, like Elon Musk. They're coming in with this energy and this fever pitch in them. They're sort of like, yeah, it's very gung-ho, and it's almost inspiring and awe-inspiring for us who already are conservatives, that we see other people joining our big tent. But Elon, I'm going to play a little bit of what Elon had to say. Here's a cut from Elon's speech.
Hi, everyone. As you can see, I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark MAGA. Well, first of all, I want to say what an honor it is to be here. And, the true test of someone's character is how they behave under fire. And we had one president who couldn't climb a flight of stairs, and another who was fist pumping after getting shot. Fight, fight, fight! Blood coming down the face. Now, America is the home of the brave. And there's no truer test than courage under fire. So who do you want representing America? Yeah, absolutely. And I think this election, I think it's the most important election of our lifetime. This is no ordinary election. The other side wants to take away your freedom of speech. They want to take away your right to bear arms. They want to take away your right to vote effectively. Free speech is the bedrock of democracy. And if people don't know what's going on, if they don't know the truth, how can you make an informed vote? You must have free speech in order to have democracy. That's why it's the First Amendment. And the Second Amendment is there to ensure that we have the First Amendment.
Now, let me tell you what's frightening about this, is that Elon Musk is South African. What I said earlier about the awe-inspiring thing is when you hear somebody who's from another country, who came here, made his fortunes, has turned this world upside down with his inventions and his innovations, is talking about America in a way that can inspire people who are down on America, a little bit skittish on representing the enthusiasm of not only being American, but also being exceptional as Americans. And Elon Musk, the jumping around, and the excitement and talking about, look, we got to make sure that this election happens for Donald Trump. It just made me feel really, really good. And I'm happy that he's out there joining the fray. It's nice to see other people who are quiet as kept are showing their support for Elon, talking about how brilliant Elon is, and these people who are making fun of him, and even he's pushing back, just going, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, Elon is dumb. Yeah. Are you landing rockets? Like, nobody's doing that but Elon, right? You're like, NASA is in the palm of this man's hand. Space exploration is Elon Musk's right now. Do you understand that? Like, he is the guy. There are these people who are trying to diminish him in some way. But you know what? What I love about Elon Musk is that he doesn't care. And he's like me. I use the term, I await the hate. Elon Musk awaits the hate. He knows it's coming. And that's why I really, really, I like him.
Go yourself.
I thought, a lot of people say, it's like, he seems like a Bond villain. I'm like, maybe. I don't know. But I really get him now. I really understand him now. And look, I know I was late to the game. I know there's some people who were, they were jocking. They were jocking Elon for a long time, but I just wouldn't. I just refused to get on board. But that's because I got to vet you. I'm not this guy who jumps up and says, oh, you like him? I guess I like him too. I won't be swayed in that way. That's just not me. So it was great to see him out there. It was great to see Donald Trump out there. My favorite line was when he began his speech, he turns to the right and he goes, as I was saying, that was absolutely brilliant. I give him so many props for that. He deserves the rave for that one. Donald Trump has got quite the sense of humor on him. He's brilliant. He just is. He is. I got to tell you. I love the guy just for that reason. All right, we'll take a break. More news, more views. When we return, don't forget to go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com. That's ReeseOnTheRadio.com. Get yourself a T-shirt. Check out the content there. Or even just send us a message. We got contests brewing and all that good stuff. All right, check it out. We'll wrap a bow on all of this when we return. And we'll see you then on the other side. It's Reese on the Radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
Reese on the Radio, making sense of the news. Yeah, even when it makes no sense at all. Now on WTIC, News Talk 1080.
All right, we're back. It's Reese on the Radio, News Talk 1080 WTIC. I don't know if you saw this on any one of your social media pages, but I caught wind of this. Everyone started resharing it. It was something that was probably said like last year, if not a year ago. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer was speaking outside, and he was making the argument of why we needed to have more immigrants in the country. It went a little something like this.
Now more than ever, we're short of workers. We have a population that is not reproducing it on its own with the same level that it used to. The only way we're going to have a great future in America is if we welcome and embrace immigrants, the dreamers and all of them, because our ultimate goal is to help the dreamers, but get a path to citizenship for all 11 million or however many undocumented there are here.
Now, in all of that, you hear the usual comments. You know, it's important to have people here. You hear it. It's the lifeline of the United States. We're a country of immigrants, all the usual platitudes, all that nonsense, right? But see, there was something interesting that he said here that I thought was absolutely astonishing. Let me play it again. Listen to this part of this speech.
Now more than ever, we're short of workers. We have a population that is not reproducing it on its own with the same level that it used to.
So here he's saying that people in the United States are not producing the way that they used to. They're not producing children. They're not having babies. Isn't that Democrats' fault? The climate change alarmists, isn't that their fault? The reason why we have a low birth rate in this country? Isn't it the abortion activist left? Is it not them that are the reason why we're not having babies? Isn't the tax and spend, high inflation Democrats, aren't they the reason why people are not producing children anymore? So they create the calamity where we don't have people producing children anymore, and now they wish to inject others into. What do you think's going to happen after they bring others in and they realize they can't have families anymore? Oh, it'll be low production again. What will they then start suggesting? Do we bring in actual aliens? This is so stupid, and it shows that Chuck Schumer is such a moron. Everybody in this party is an idiot. Everything has a consequence. Don't you get it? So I couldn't believe that he said it. So all of these people who swear up and down that our birth rates are going down, but we must protect abortion. There's so many people who refuse to have a baby because they don't want to contribute to climate change, and then wonder why we need to bring in illegal. And it's not like that's not making life detrimental for people as well. It's making things harder for people who are already here. And the part that I don't understand is that guys like Chuck Schumer don't even take responsibility for their actions. Dude, has anyone even bothered to ask why the birth rates are low? Has Chuck Schumer bothered? Or has anyone even suggested, how do we get people to have more babies? Now, I know Kamala Harris is talking about giving $6,000 to every person who has a child. But how do you convince someone who thinks that climate change is an existential threat to our existence and get them to have a child for $6,000? You mean the crazy left that thinks that money is the root of all evil? Now you're going to convince them with the very evil dollars so that they reproduce? It makes no sense. Everything they do is a circular firing squad. I mean, how do you vote for these morons? How do you do it? Or maybe this is all too confusing for you. Because I can sit here and listen to Chuck Schumer say what he said. Listen again.
Now more than ever, we're short of workers. We have a population that is not reproducing it on its own with the same level that it used to.
I can listen to that and I can go, but wait a minute. You're the reason for that. Like, I can totally, and I can literally trace the breadcrumbs to their policies to implicate them in the exact thing they think we have to do in order to change said stupidity. All of this is insane. I deal with this on a regular basis. I know sometimes I get frustrated at how stupid this stuff is, but they are stupid. Every one of these people are stupid. And you hear these other ones, the mind-numb robots, they're just clapping along. Yeah, makes sense to me. They don't have to think. These people do not have to think. We have to do all the thinking. They wake up one morning, slamming their head with a sledgehammer, bong, right in the top of the head, and walk into work. And they walk in and they come up with some story. You know what I'm going to say today? We need illegal immigrants in the country because people aren't having babies. And they just say that, and then all the rest of them like stupid seals. And everyone else says, yeah, that makes sense. You know what it reminds me? Oh, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that bit on Family Guy. Do you remember this one?
Try giving short, simple answers.
Mrs. Griffin, what do you plan to do about crime in our city?
A lot. Because that's what Jesus wants. 9/11 was bad.
I agree with that. What are your plans for cleaning up our environment?
9/11.
What about our traffic problem?
9/11.
It's just so silly. Part and parcel because these people are silly, sadly. But, you know, you're going to get what you're going to get. What are we, less than 30 days away from the election? Wow, this is going to be an interesting 30 days. I can't wait to watch all of this with you folks as it unfolds. It's going to be interesting. I'm just hoping not to be disappointed. My heart would be crushed if it'd be crushed if these bozos were to win. I don't think that's going to happen. I know that there's some people out there with some doubts. Don't be doubtful. It would be an incredible feat at this point, and it would say a lot about our country. And I haven't lost faith in it yet. Some people may have already, cashed in their chips, thrown in the towel. I'm not of that ilk, and it's going to be an interesting. It's going to be an interesting ride the coming weeks and days. But we'll be here. We'll be riding it out with you. 4 more weeks, folks. 4 more weeks. If you ever get the opportunity to, go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com. You could read the stupidest thing that I read today. We got plenty of those up there. We're posting videos now on there and some of the crazy and weird stuff that I see online that maybe you caught, maybe you didn't. But you could go to ReeseOnTheRadio.com. And, of course, we have T-shirts there. Don't be shy. Pick up a T-shirt. We're even doing T-shirt giveaways. As soon as they come in, we're going to do T-shirt giveaways. But you know what? Support Reese on the Radio. All right? Show your support for Reese on the Radio. If you show support for Reese on the Radio gets to stay. Because then I can say, wow, look at the support people have for Reese on the Radio. And then they, the big bosses, they hear that and they go, oh, yeah. You know what? The guy's getting some support. And so that, that sort of helps me out. It helps you out in the long term, Help me help you. That's what I'm trying to say. All right, we got to get out of here. As I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your mind. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Remember, folks, panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. Me, I'm Reese on the Radio. You have a good night, a pleasant tomorrow, and make sure you check us out on Monday. That's Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. right here on News Talk 1080 WTIC. Holler.